In the previous class, we have discussed what is water demand, then what is LPCD, then we have seen what are the different types of water demand. In that, we have seen what is residential water demand and how the breakup is there for the and water requirement is there for different purposes that we have seen. Then institutional, we have seen different types of offices, hotels, schools, your hospitals, how it is going to require water. Then we have seen the public or civil use, we have classified into road washing, sanitation, public parks, and firefighting, how the water requirement is going to vary. Then industrial use, we have seen the various industries requiring different amount of water. Then water system losses. Then we have seen the firefighting and how we can calculate the different amount of water requirement for firefighting according to the different kinds of formula, that is Kuchling formula, Buston's formula, Freeman's formula, and National Board of Fire Underwriters formula. So in today's class we are going to concentrate on what are the different factors which is going to affect the rate of demand, and then we are going to see the variations in the rate of demand. Then we'll see what is the design period and what are the factors affecting design period, and then we'll see what is a protected water supply and the need of protected water supply. So this much we are going to cover in today's class. So we will see now what are the different factors which is going to affect the rate of demand. Now rate of demand is what? Per person in a day, how much quantity of water he is going to require. That is nothing but your rate of water demand, or we say it is an per capita demand. Okay, now it is going to be dependent on these 11 criterias, that is the size and type of community, standard of living, climatic conditions, quality of water, pressure in the supply line system, then sewerage, metering, water rates, age of community, and lawn sprinkling. See, this particular question will be normally it is going to be asked in your main exam for around 6 to 8 marks. So you need to give the concentration on this particular question. What is the rate of demand and the factors affecting the rate of demand? You will be seeing the question in your examination, the question like this. Okay, now we'll see the size and type of community. Okay, now size means it is depending upon the city. Okay, if the usually the cities will be having the more population than the village area. So as the population is going to increase, the per capita demand is going to increase. The cities will be having more population than your villages, and in a smaller city what happens is the per capita water consumption is to be expected small. Okay, because there are only limited uses for water in a small town will be there. The fluctuations in use in industrial community is normally much smaller than in the residential community. Okay, your in the smaller cities will be having say your purposes. Okay, size and type of community. Size in your cities, the population will be more as compared to the towns. So in cities you require more amount of water supply than if you compare it with the villages. Now type of community, then again the water will be used for a different kind of a purposes. Say your city will be having the industrial areas, commercial areas, residential areas, whereas your again in your villages what happens is normally you won't see these industrial area. So again the water requirement in industrial area is bit different than the water requirement in the residential area. So as the villages are not going to have these industrial areas and all, so and again parks and all, normally it will be very less. If it is there also might be one or two. So your normally it is your villages will be require the less amount of water. So in this size you can consider the type of city. Okay, and then again you can consider the industries and all you can consider in your first point. Then standard of living, usually the higher standard of living is there for your higher class people, and as middle class and lower class people will be normally they will be consuming less amount of water, because higher class of people, they will be in their houses, they will be having your good amount of garden, large space will be there for the garden, then swimming pools probably might be there, then they will be using the coolers and water for the, again in a bathroom also they will be having tub and jacuzzis, all these kind of facilities usually the higher class people will be having. So normally they will require more quantity of water than in the middle and the lower class of people. So according to the standard of living also, the water requirement is going to vary. Then in the climatic conditions, in see, we'll be having three climatic conditions: rainy season, your summer season, and the winter season. Normally the summer season will be require more amount of water, because as in the summer season we feel thirsty, we would drink, normally we drink more amount of water, and then again we normally in the summer season we will be having 2 times a bath. Okay, so again these of the some of these bacteria which is going to help to increase the water demand during the hot climatic conditions. And in case of your winter season, normally what is going to happen is the water is going to be get freezed out in the pipes and resulting in the increased consumption. In to prevent the freezing of pipe, what we are going to do is we will sometimes we will keep the tap open in order to prevent the freezing. So again here we are going to consume little bit more amount of water, whereas in your rainy season we don't consume the much amount of water. Again for your lawn sprinkling, the water consumption is going to be get reduced. All these factors according to the climatic conditions, again we will be using the water in a different ways. Normally the hot climatic conditions will be consuming more amount of water than other two seasons. Okay, then quality of water. If the normally the human tendency is that if we are getting a very good quality of water, normally we consume more amount of water. Suppose if the water is, I am just giving an example, if the water is a bit hard, then normally we will be having the stain, your the food, your clothes will be having some amount of white patches on that. Then again boilers will be having the scaling effect on that. If the water quality is bit having bit hardness, or due to there are other factors which due to which the water quality, if it is not good, then we normally we consume less amount of water and we try to bring it from the outside if the water quality is not good at the particular place. So again quality of water, if the quality of water is very good, we will consume, normally we will consume more amount of water as compared to the if there are any fluctuations are there in the water quality, we will consume less quantity of water. Okay, then the pressure in the supply line. If we are going to get the enough quantity of pressure, right, what will happen is we normally we consume more amount of water as compared to if the in the supply line, if the water pressure is a bit less, then we will be usually consuming the less amount of water if the pressure is less. So more the pressure, more will be the consumption; less the pressure, less will be the consumption. Then system of supply. Regarding this, we have discussed that we are going to have the intermittent and continuous supply. Continuous supply, we are going to get the water 24/7, whereas your intermittent supply, we will be getting the water in terms of interval. Okay, in a day might be 2 hours, might be after 2 to 3 days you are going to get 4 hours, 5 hours. So like this, we are going to have some of the variations. Okay. So what will happen is your according to the system of supply, normally the continuous supply we will be using much quantity of water, and whereas your intermittent supply, if the water is going to come in once in 4 or 5 days or once in 6 to 7 days, normally the consumption is going to get reduced. So this is again according to the system of supply also, the water consumption is going to get vary. Then sewerage system. If the sewerage system is very well maintained, then normally we will be using more amount of water will be consumed, and if the sewerage system is not proper, then sewerage system means your wastewater flow after using the water, wherever the wastewater is going to flow, that is we call it as an sewer. Okay, so in the sewerage system it is not proper, then we usually consume the less amount of water. Again, the this is how sewerage system is going to affect. Then metering conditions, use of water, it is going to decrease when the supply lines are metered. Whenever water meters are there, so what we do is usually we have the tendency is that we our usage we are going to restrict. Okay, and then if the meter is not there, then since there is no observation on how much of water we are going to consume, and we don't need to pay anything for that, then normally we will be consuming more amount of water. Then water rates, an increase in the rate of water will reduce the consumption. As if the water rate is going to increase, then what we are going to do is we will be normally consuming more amount of water as compared to if the water rates are less. Okay, then we will be seeing the lawn sprinkling. Okay, the lawn sprinkling again it is again the lawn sprinkling is dependent upon the climatic conditions. Say in rainy season we don't require any water for your lawn sprinkling. Okay, then in case of your summer season, normally we will be applying more amount of water, because there will be evaporation and evapotranspiration will be there. So that is the reason why normally in the hot climatic condition we will be using more amount of water for the lawn sprinkling. So this is how your factors which is going to affect the rate of water demand. These are the factors in which we are having size and type of community, standard of living, and all these are the 7 criteria. This is one of the important aspect that it is going to be asked in your exams. Next is your variations in the rate of demand. Now what is this variations in the rate of demand? In the variations are in the rate of demand, we are in a day how the water requirement is going to vary in one particular day, that is from 24 hours how the water requirement is going to vary, that we are going to study in the variation in the rate of demand. So here we are going to have on x-axis we are going to have the hours of the day, on the y-axis we will be having the consumption in million liter per day. Okay, so normally the average daily per capita consumption is obtained by dividing the quantity of water supplied during the year by the number of days in the year and the number of persons served. Okay, this per capita consumption or demand varies not only from year to year and from season to season also it is going to vary, as I have told in your rainy season and then summer season and winter season. Just I was discussing regarding that the factors which is going to affect during hot climatic conditions we will be consuming more amount of water. That season is also going to have an impact on this variations in the rate of demand. Okay, these variations are expressed in terms of percentage of the annual average daily consumption. Okay, now if we consider 24 hours of supply, normally at night, that is we have started with 0, that is at 12 am at night. Normally here all the human activities it is nearly stopped. So here whatever the water we are going to consume in during the night time, it is usually very less at night time. Then as the time passes, as it is going to say around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, the water consumption is going to slowly it goes on increasing. We will be performing our day-to-day activities in the morning, then bathing and again all etc washing of utensil, cooking and all. Normally it is going to start after 6 am. So what is going to happen is slowly the water consumption is going to increase, and at 10 or in between 10 to 12 o'clock it will be the maximum. Then after 12 o'clock again the water consumption is going to get decreased till your 4 or 5 o'clock. Then again when we return to house after finishing the offices, schools and all, again the water consumption we will be again it is going to increase at at night it is going to be again it is going to get reduces. So here what happens is, normally the water consumption in the morning in between 10 to 12 hour 10 to 12 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. it will be, usually it will be at the peakest, and then again it will be on peak, and then it is going to get decreases at as the time passes, and again it becomes at again 12 o'clock in the night it will become 12 or 1 o'clock, it will become to very minimum. So this is how the variations in the rate of demand will be there. This is what we are going to plot when the questions will be asked, like plot with a neat graph, explain the variations in the rate of demand. This question also may be asked in your main exam. Then we will see what is a design period. Now, what is this design period is, normally see the water supply line, we will be normally we are going to design it for the period of 20 to 40 years. See, if we are going to when we are going to design the water supply line, it is mainly dependent upon the population. We are not going to design the water supply line for the present year. Okay, why is, again the population is, again it is normally it will be increasing or it might be decreasing. So we what we need to do is, we need to see what will be the, according to the previous trend. Okay, so we will be collecting the collective data of past 30 to 40 years or 50 years. Okay, and then we are going to calculate what will be the expected future population. Depending upon that, we are going to design the water supply line. Now we normally we are going to design the water supply line for the period of around 20 to 40 years. We are not going to do it according to the present population. Your design period will be completely, it is going to be dependent upon the population. Now the thing is, why we are not going to design it for the present population. Present population, if we are going to design, might be there is an increase or might be there is an decrease. What is going to happen is, whatever the supply line, whatever we have designed, it may be used for 1 year, 2 year or 5 years, but it cannot be considered as an long term. Okay, so if we want to again replace it, it is going to consume much amount of, it is going to consume much amount of government money. So that is the reason why we normally we design your water supply line for usually for 20 to 40 years and from the present population. That is this is regarding your design period, and that is the reason why we are going to design it for the period of 20 to 40 years. If we are going to design, then it may not be efficient to serve the future population. So that is the reason why we design it for 20 to 40 years. And then we will see what is the factors affecting the design period. Then useful life of component structure and the chances of becoming old and obsolete. This covers your first point. If we are going to consider the present population that may not be able to serve the future water requirement, so that is the reason why we will be considering this design period. Normally design period we are going to consider it for next 20 to 40 years. Next is ease and difficulty is likely to face in expansion. Suppose if we want any kind of an expansion, then it will be difficult for us to do the expansion if we are going to design it for with the present population. So that is the reason why we will be considering this design period. Then the amount and availability of additional investment likely to be incurred for additional provisions. If we want to design the new one, then again we need to remove the whatever the design we have done for the present population. We need to entirely remove that, and then again it will be requiring a huge amount of money. So that is the reason why we will be considering this design period. And then anticipated rate of population growth, including possible shift in the community, industry and establishments. This point I have already told that we may migrate from one particular place to the another particular place, and how the population is going to increase, what is the trend, right? So depending upon that, we will be designing your water supply line. So these are the different factors which is going to affect the design period. Now we will see what is the protected water. Okay, now what is protected water? Suppose if we are going to have one source of water. Okay, if we are having one source of water where the we are having a huge quantity of water in it, right? Now, can we use the water directly? No, right? The answer is no. Why we cannot use it? Because this particular water source, okay, it is in contact with the soil. Okay, as you know, the soil is going to have some of the microbes and some of the elements, so it might be higher and it might be lower also, so it is going to create a problem. And this particular water, it is untreated. Okay, now if it is untreated, as I have told, it is going to have the physical, chemical and some of the biological characteristics. In the physical, we are going to have say your solids might be more. Okay, all these things we have already discussed. So might be this particular water, it is going to have more amount of solids, more amount of some of the chemical elements, might be more amount of microbes it is going to there. And if it is going to have some of the biodegradable elements like a dead animals and dead some of the plants or unwanted material, then it is going to give to the growth of the microbes. Even if it is going to give growth to the microbes, then it may lead to the waterborne diseases. If we take the water and if we drink it, then we may lead to some of the waterborne diseases. So in order to escape from all those different thing that is due to the waterborne disease and all, if we want to escape, then we need to treat the water. So this is nothing but your protected water supply. If we treat it, might be some of the physical characteristics which we don't want, we can remove it. Chemical characteristics, if we don't want, we can remove it, or if we want, we can add it. And then biological characteristics, you may have the different bacteria and all, if we want, we can remove it. And totally the protected water supply is nothing but the treated water supply is, this is what we are going to give it to the customers. That is nothing but the meaning of protected water supply. Now, what is the need of the protected water supply? We will be seeing it now. Okay, I hope the need of protected water supply is understood. The protected water supply is nothing but the treated water supply. We cannot directly have the water from the source of water, because it is going to have some of the physical, chemical and the biological impurities. So we need to either we need to remove it, or we need to some of some of the chemical elements, if we want to add it, then we can add it, so that that is nothing but called as a protected water supply. Overall, protected water supply is nothing but the treated water supply. Okay. Now, first point we are going to see it is treated to remove the impurities and made safe to the public health. Water will be free from physical and the chemical and the bacterial agents. Okay, so this is your first point. As I have told, it is the first point. Then it will be it will helpful to prevent the people from the waterborne diseases. We might get some of the waterborne diseases like cholera, typhoid, dysentery and all. This is what we may get from the water if it is untreated. So in order to make man free from the waterborne diseases, it is very necessary to have the treatment. Okay, it provides the safe, wholesome water to satisfy the demand of people, and thus helping in maintaining the beautification of the surrounding. Okay, and that is the reason why we will be treating the water and we will be using it. Okay, so in today's class we have discussed on the different factors in affecting the rate of demand. Okay, that is size, standard of living, climatic conditions, quality of water, pressure in supply, system of supply, sewerage, metering and water rates, age of community and lawn sprinkling. These are the various factors which is going to affect the rate of supply. Then in a day, how the variations is there in the rate of water demand, that we have seen according to the consumption. It is the quantity of water required in a day, then it is the hours of the day, at what hour, how much quantity of water we require. Then we have discussed on what is design period and what are the factors which is going to affect the design period. And then we have discussed on what is the protected water supply and what are the need of the protected water supply. In the next class, we will see the different types of population forecasting methods, and we will be seeing the different formulas that we are going to use for those particular different population forecasting methods. So this is what we have studied in today's class. In tomorrow's class or in the next class, we will be discussing on the population forecasting method by using the different formulas. Thank you.